I'm Kara Morgan. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Election Information. We're helping our viewers and listeners to be informed when it comes time to vote. Today, I'm here with Cheri Brubaker. She is running for County Commission Position 1. Hi, Cheri.
Hi, Kara. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for County Commission.
So I have been in Lincoln County since 2013, and we came here for my husband's job with the United States Forest Service. And like a lot of federal employees, we thought we'd be here for 2 or 3 years and we would go on to the next job. And he quickly became home, and it became very difficult to leave. And that ended up being an opportunity for me to become part of this community, to reestablish myself professionally. I started writing. Some people might remember me from the Newport News Times. I was a reporter. Then we had in common a job. We were both news director at Uquina Bay Communications Radio, doing a daily news broadcast and hosting hotline. And I would still be there, I think, because that was such a great job, such a wonderful opportunity to bring that daily news broadcast and to host hotline and to stay informed and to help the public stay informed as you're doing now. Thank you for that. And for the last 3 years, I've been Congresswoman Bella Foyle's field representative here in Lincoln County. And what that means is I was her proxy here. I work to help constituents with issues with federal agencies. I worked with cities, with water districts, with fire departments to help them connect with federal funding. And I just want to say one thing without too many words. I think that it wasn't waking up one day and saying, I want to be Lincoln County Commissioner. It was more of a realization that I have this experience. I have these experiences. I have these relationships. I've learned about this and that recommends me at this time to come forward. And so that's why, and that's how I got here. All the different things that I've done in this community have led me to this point right now.
And there are lots of things that the commissioners are in charge of and that they oversee. Let's talk a little bit about how you feel about county administration and Ordinance 517.
I think that needs to be a discussion. There needs to be a decision. Is there going to be a county administrator, or is there going to be a very defined way that the commissioners manage departments? So however that goes, it is really fine with me. I think we need to define it. We need to agree on it. We need to hammer it out so that the expectation is very clear, very transparent. And, that's a decision that should be made. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't have input on it from people where they're at with that, but I think that the most important thing is agreement and procedure and an expectation. This is how it is.
And let's talk a little bit about, speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about how your thoughts are on transparency in county government.
In developing campaign materials, in developing a platform, the most important things to me, the words that kept coming up were trust, transparency, and common sense. And so that's what we need. We need to be transparent. We need to restore trust in the process. We need to have it defined. It has to be the same all the time. We have to set the expectation, and we have to live up to that expectation. So, again, we need to have everybody at the table. We need to have discussion around it. Everyone needs to be heard. And then we have to act on what was decided. And we need to be consistent.
And Cheri, what leadership skills would you bring to the position?
In my role working with Congresswoman Val Hoyle, I've had the opportunity to meet with our city leaders, our city managers, agencies, executive directors for agencies, people with state government, other federal agencies, other federal representatives, our state representatives. And so many times people will have an issue with something and they don't even know whose purview it falls under, but we have to find that answer. We have to get them to who they need to talk to get their issue resolved. So that kind of knowledge, that kind of leadership, I think that what recommends me to this position now is having followed this board through some of the issues that it's grappled with in its different forms over the years. And, we went through the pandemic, realizing how government affects our daily lives. Our local government is so important. And so we all need to provide input. We all need to work together because we all live here and we all want the same things. So I would say my leadership hasn't been a traditional path, but I think that my knowledge of the issues, my experience working through difficult situations, my commitment to asking the right questions, and then finding what's the action item. So we have these meetings all the time, right? So we're all together, we have this meeting. What's the takeaway? The takeaway is, what are we all supposed to be doing next before we come back together again? So it's setting the goal. It's bringing the people together. It's getting things done. It's making those difficult decisions, talking about it. Senator Wyden calls it the Oregon way, right? The Oregon way. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to come to an agreement. We have to hash it out. And this office is nonpartisan. The commissioners represent everybody in Lincoln County, and everybody in Lincoln County should have the opportunity to be heard. And then the commissioners need to carefully evaluate and vote. And there's a vote, there's an outcome, and then we need to move on. We need to keep working together. We're not going to agree every time, but we've got to really try to hash something out that works for everyone.
And speaking of which, when it comes to transparency and leadership, what are your thoughts in regards to public comment?
Public comment is essential. Everyone should have the opportunity to be heard, always.
And let's talk a little bit about another important thing that the commissioners work on, and that's the budget. You have some experience in regards to budget relations?
Sure. Have you tried to support a family on one paycheck?
Yes.
That Lincoln County is facing a $4 million shortfall in their budget, but I don't think that's the final story. We're seeing a lot of pullback in federal money. We had a lot of money coming in during the pandemic years, the American Rescue Plan Act funding. There was a lot of money available that was for a finite amount of time. And we do have, the governor's office is very serious about creating housing. We're seeing some housing being built in Lincoln County. I think Lincoln City has been doing a remarkable job. There's a lot of building happening there, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it happening. But we have to stay focused on finding a way to pay for things, right? Like we may not have enough, so we need to be creative about how we can find more money. I think that Lincoln County should always have a community funding request. We should always be watching for opportunities to bring money back into this community. We should always be looking at ways to, if we all have to pull in our belts, if we have to, we want to try to be equitable with that. We don't want to make decisions hastily. We want to be thorough. We want to talk about it, and we want to make the best decision possible. But our committees do a lot of that work. The commissioners aren't mired in the details. The commissioners vote on the budget. And I think you asked that question, what is the role of the commissioner absent a county administrator? We need to decide, and again, that input should come from the community, and the discussion should be very transparent, covered by our media so that people are informed, and then that decision should be made transparently.
Right, wonderful. And Cheri, is there anything else that you wanted to add and have our viewers and listeners know about you and your platform?
It's really a privilege to live here. It's hard for a lot of people. The weather can be hard. We can have flooding, ice storms. Jobs can be difficult to come by. Housing is a challenge. But those of us who live here, we love it. And we love our community. Parents, when we're parents and we go to the school activities, we look out for the other kids that maybe their parents aren't there, right? Like that's the fabric of this community, not the noise, right? We can always find ways we're different. I think we all need to find ways we're the same, ways that we agree, and we need to work together because we live here. We get to be here all the time. People come visit from all over the world, all over the country, all over the state. We live here, and so we've got to make the most of it. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now, if folks want to ask you any additional questions or get more information about you, you have a website or a Facebook
I
page?
do. I have all of those things. Voteforcheri.com.
And it's spelled Cheri.
It is. And I have a phone number there. I have a campaign phone. You can text me. People can invite me to their events. People can invite me to their neighborhood. I'm going to be knocking on doors, and I want to know what's on your mind. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Wonderful. Well, Cheri, thank you so much for providing this information. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm Kara Morgan with Election Information.